In the last video in this series, I recommended the Tiger 900 as the most capable all-season commuter in Triumph's range, but there are 6 variants of this bike and it might be difficult to know which one to choose, so in today's video, we'll look at them all and figure out which type of rider might prefer each. But before we get started, I'd like to say a big thank you again to Lind Triumph for sponsoring this series. They've got 4 locations all around London, which you can learn more about via the link in the description, so they're perfectly positioned to serve us motorcyclists that commute in and around the capital for bikes, gear and servicing. I've personally dealt with their shops on a number of occasions and can wholeheartedly recommend them. You can also find links to their social media and online store in the description too. So I've been lucky enough to ride both the Rally Pro and GT Pro extensively on the press launch earlier this year, as well as borrowing the Central London shop's GT Pro for a day of filming, as you can see here. But before we look at those more tricked out models, it's worth mentioning the base Tiger 900. It's the most affordable at $9,500 and as such doesn't get all the bells and whistles of the GT and Rally, but the fundamentals are the same and there are some big mechanical improvements versus the outgoing 800. Firstly, the new T-plane crank with revised firing intervals. Instead of an even drone like the old 800cc triple, the new irregular intervals give the engine a rougher feel that is more akin to a 270-degree parallel twin, as you'll find in many of the Tiger's competitors. Triumph claimed that it gives the Tiger more feel in the low revs, which is especially helpful off-road, and having ridden the 800 at Lind's East London shop just before I went on the launch, I can vouch for a noticeable difference in engine character because of the new crank. It feels grunty down low, but still has that top-end whiz that might be missing from a twin. The updated engine with its 94 horsepower peak and an improved 87 Nm of peak torque is of course present in this base model. And the brakes are significantly better than the Tiger 800 too, with high-spec Brembo Stylema radial monoblock calipers with a radial master cylinder on hand across the whole Tiger 900 range. A new lightweight frame contributes to a 5 kg weight saving, and a bolt-on subframe can now be more easily replaced if damaged, as opposed to the whole frame on the 800. There's a lighter slip assist clutch, a split radiator for improved cooling, a new screen which is adjustable using one hand, a more easily accessible air filter, an LED headlight and tail light, and the engine is slung lower and further forward for better handling and low-speed balance, whilst a redesigned sump maintains ground clearance. There are some areas in which the base Tiger 900 is of course lighter on spec. The Marzocchi suspension, for example, is only preload adjustable on the shock. The 5-inch TFT dash is smaller than the other models, and there are just 2 rider modes of road and rain which alter throttle response and traction control to suit the conditions. But I think this bike might appeal to a certain type of rider who wants great mechanical components at the lowest price with as little electronic intervention or distraction as possible. It's also worth noting that with less equipment comes less weight, so this is the lightest bike in the range at 192 kilograms dry. If you intend to ride primarily on the road, then it's the GT range that you ought to consider first. It takes those fundamentals of the base model and adds some nice features to improve its performance on tarmac. If you're out for a weekend blast, the fully adjustable Marzocchi suspension front and rear will allow you to tweak the handling to suit your riding style. The addition of a sport riding mode will also give you a bit more snap in the throttle, and there's also an off-road mode should you wish to explore some lanes. If big motorway miles are your thing, then heated grips and handguards will help to take the sting out of a cold day, whilst cruise control adds some comfort to long stretches at constant speed. There's also a weatherproof stash for your phone under the saddle, which contains a 5-volt USB power socket for charging. Safety is also improved owing to an inertial measurement unit from Continental which enables cornering sensitive traction control and ABS, and there's also an LED daytime running light which helps to make you more visible to other road users. Lastly, the 5-inch dash is upgraded to 7 inches. It's really nicely done and one of my favourite features of the new Tiger 900 range. It's big, has great contrast and helps to give the Tiger a premium feel in the cockpit. The GT Pro takes the spec up another notch, adding the My Triumph phone connectivity module as standard, which enables the dash to display turn-by-turn nav, as well as the ability to control your phone calls, music, and even a GoPro, all from the illuminated switchgear. The GT Pro also gets Triumph's shift assist up and down quick shifter and adds a rider customizable riding mode on top of the existing 4 of road, rain, sport and off-road. This allows you to dial in the throttle response, traction control and ABS to your exact liking. On top of all that, the Pro gets a tyre pressure monitoring system as standard, additional fog lights, heated seats front and rear with separate controls, and a centre stand. But probably my favourite feature of the GT Pro is the electronically adjustable rear shock, which allows you to choose from 4 preload settings and 9 damping settings using the switchgear and dash. Preload is especially useful on this bike to compensate for a passenger and or luggage. So if you do part of your commute or rides with a passenger, you can quickly select an appropriate preload setting to ensure the stance of the bike is right without having to hop off and get out a C-spanner. Damping, on the other hand, affects comfort and handling, so if you're on rough roads or travelling in a straight line, then you might prefer a more cushy setting, but then you can instantly firm things up when the roads get more curvy. I tested this out plenty on the launch and really liked this feature and can see how it would be a massive convenience if you're commuting or touring. The base Tiger 900, GT and GT Pro have an adjustable seat height between 810 and 830 millimeters, which might sound a bit lofty to some. For those of us a little short in the leg, there's the GT Low. It has the same spec as the regular GT, but with revised suspension to offer a more accessible range of 760 and 780 millimeters. To sum up the GTs, they offer more performance on the road in terms of both twisties and long distance comfort, especially the Pro with its heated seats, phone integration and electronically adjustable shock. Now let me introduce you to the Rally and the Rally Pro. These models are off-road biased and therefore swap out the Marzocchi suspension for taller Showa units, which give a whopping 240 and 230 millimeters of travel front and rear in order to cope with more challenging terrain. As a result, the seat height goes up to either 850 or 870 millimeters depending on your saddle setting. If you don't like tall bikes, then this may not be for you, but personally, I got on with it pretty well on the launch, even off-road, and I'm not exactly a giant at 5'9". The Rally also gets tubeless spoked wheels for a bit more resilience, and Pirelli's Scorpion Rally tyres are handbook approved should you wish to fit something grippy. Otherwise, the Rally inherits all of the same improvements over the base model as the GT, so the 4 riding modes, cornering ABS and traction control, 7-inch dash, cruise control, heated grips, handguards and LED daytime running light. The Rally Pro is the absolute daddy of the range, with pretty much everything you would need for an off-road adventure. It gets the same heated seats, fog lights, phone connectivity, tyre pressure monitoring system and centre stand as the GT Pro, but adds some protection to the engine in the form of crash bars and a sump guard. An additional off-road Pro riding mode brings the total up to 6, which is the only mode to completely disable traction control and ABS. The off-road mode, which is available on the other bikes, has some interventions, so for serious trail riders, this alone might be reason enough to buy the Rally Pro. I've ridden the GT Pro through gravel and on-poor surfaces on the launch and it coped fine. I'd expect any of the Tigers to, but if you're looking for something that feels much more at home on the trails, then it has to be the Rally or the Rally Pro. And although looks are subjective, personally, I'd say that in the khaki green with the white frame inspired by the original Tiger Tramontana concept, and the spoke wheels, gold forks and taller stance, this Rally Pro is the best looking of the lot. So let me sum that all up for you again. The base Tiger 900 gets most of the mechanical enhancements for 2020, but has the simplest electronics and non-adjustable suspension at the lowest price point. If you're mainly doing road riding like commuting and touring or more spirited stuff, then the GT offers better suspension and electronics as well as some comfort features. The Low would be the obvious choice for those who like to be able to flat foot a bike, and the Pro adds some extra luxury with the heated seats looking particularly good if you're riding all weather, and the electronically adjustable shock also a tempting proposition. The Rally and Rally Pro echo the specs of the GT and GT Pro, but with taller suspension and spoked wheels. You lose the electronically adjustable shock, but gain some engine protection on the Pro. Out of the GT and Rally, I'd personally go for the Rally just to have the option to do a bit more off-roading, but it really depends on what type of riding you enjoy. Let me know which you'd pick in the comments below, and if you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, then hit subscribe and I'll catch you next time.